All right, more ones, people. More ones, people. Let's materialize this bull run. Okay, here's an easier question. Did everybody appreciate that crafty show notes or title? If you did, click a 1 if you're a Star Wars nerd. Awesome. That was red, of course. Really creative. Looks like we have a special guest on the stage too, but he's muted. Big Turns, how are you doing today? You're on mute, buddy. Everybody's on mute. Yeah. You're good now, bro.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I just got like a couple of just making sure that the
recording
Discord
works.
AMA is being recording. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I got a couple of like new, like I got a new mic, new lead, just making sure everything's.
It's something. There is one strange thing. It sounds like you have an accent. I won't hold that against you. I don't know if you're using any voice synthesizer or anything.
Yeah, I'm on the light version, so there's no good accents.
Okay. Excellent. Looks like we have another special guest joining us.
Hey. How's it going, guys?
Ahoy.
Jake, how are you doing? Good to hear that Midwest accent.
Very well, very well. I'm glad to be back in the Midwest. I've been moving around too much lately.
Yeah, and we're killing it for weather. I know I texted Mess sent a picture. We had about 4 feet of snow here about 4 days ago. Now we have nothing. So we had I think 3 or 4 days with 70 to 80 degrees in a row. So it's pretty much all gone. So I'm pretty psyched about that.
Absolutely.
Looks like Merkel Root is in the house. How are you doing tonight, Kevin?
I'm good. How are you?
Really good. And Jay, you're recording right now?
Yeah, we're live. Not live, but we are recording. So
yeah, that's like when you. That's when you get ready to pre-board on an airplane. You're pre-boarding. Yeah. You're not really boarding. You're not really pre-boarding. You're just getting ready to pre-board.
We're hanging out in the lobby, having a couple of drinks. Yeah.
That's right. We'll just give it. So, I will say though, since we are sort of live or half live, episode 4, A New Hope. I'm sure everybody has read that crafty little intro, but if you didn't read it, I'm going to read it to you. A not so long ago time on a blockchain near you, users are being held hostage by siloed chains and bridges. L1X has teamed together some of the brightest minds to rescue users and bring freedom to the blockchain universe. For all of you that are not super Star Wars nerds like some of us, obviously that's a Star Wars reference. So, Season 1, Episode 4 of L1X Live. And for anybody that's new, just so everybody's aware, this is no longer than an hour. What we usually kind of do is a rundown of what the team has been up to, bring a special guest on, or two. The other special guest is still muted. Cough. But the team members are kind of going to talk about a little bit what they've been up to, maybe what they're going to be up to here. I know a few of them will be traveling. I think that's going to be a topic of discussion. I think we're going to get a little bit of a rundown on some project development here, and then there's going to go to Q&A, and then we're going to have a little bit of a wrap up. But remember, no longer than an hour. We want to get people in, get people out, get what you need, and kind of get you on your way. So without further ado, I think we can start off with Kevin. What's new in the world of L1X for you today?
Yeah, for the last, I think since I last spoke, we've been working on synchronizing and synthesizing the development components for the infrastructure. So all the way from consensus to the virtual machine to the state management. And the developers are working pretty hard for the demonstration in May. So at the end of May, we will be demonstrating cross-chain data validation as well. So, sending health records from one place or one chain to the other and the user having control over their data. But apart from that, everything is on track for the mainnet launch. We've onboarded certain developers for building the tool chain as well. That will make it easier for projects or the developers out there to build it. And I've got a trip. Of course, we're going to a few countries, but I've got a trip to India as well, where L1X will be hosting its first hackathon with more than 200 developers to come and start exploring and building on L1X as well. So excited about that. So we are coming up with a developer portal. So it's a first of its kind layer 1 developer portal where every developer can sign up. They'll have their own address. There will be a developer documentation section such as build your first smart contract with L1X. If there are any projects that are coming up, they can participate in that as well. There will be a communication channel out there as well in the portal where the developers can communicate with each other in the L1X ecosystem. And there will be a dev score as well. So the idea is, in the long run, to build the Web3 of Stack Overflow on the portal. So I think, we're pretty excited about how this is all coming together. And when we demonstrate the feature set in May, it will all add up to, what we are going to launch with in August this year.
Sounds like a total synergy. And speaking of that, Spark, what's new in your world according to L1X?
Yeah. Hi. Be great. Can you hear me properly?
Yeah. Yep. You just have that weird accent, but go ahead.
I thought you had the accent, but we'll agree to disagree. We'll agree to disagree.
Yep.
Look, it's been going really well. We're traveling as well. So Chief and I will be attending Consensus in Austin at the end of this month, and we're traveling for a few weeks. We've got meetings with projects and investors in the US. We're traveling through Asia and also through UAE as well for meetings that we've got there for a few things to continue to develop out potential projects for the ecosystem, and also start to make connections and further existing connections for the public sale as well. And we should be releasing information around the public sale probably in the next, I'd say, 2 weeks. We'll have dates and we'll have details and everything out to everybody, so they know exactly what they need to do to get involved in the public sale as well.
Perfect. Sounds great. And Chief, what about you? What's new in your world according to L1X?
Well, there's a whole bunch of things actually. We've had some pretty full-on meetings over the last couple of weeks. We obviously had a local event here at UWA, which we attended, and I think that went across fantastically well. But probably the big ones for me is around some of the directions that we're heading with the use cases for the L1X token. For example, I'm going to throw a couple of little tiny bits of alpha out there, and I know some of it might have been mentioned previously, but things like CBDC, and people go, what the heck is that? So central bank digital currency. Now, there's about, at the moment, around 100 countries around the world are looking to implement a central bank digital currency. And effectively, to give you an idea, for Australia, that would mean EAUD. For other countries, it'll be a digital currency for them. So we're starting to work a little bit more with the governments around that, and also around digital identity, and that also will become quite huge. Now, you go, what's the implications of it? Well, think about the number of transactions that occur in the banking system. A digital currency has the capability of taking over most of that. And then you start looking at the revenue streams from that around 1 cent for every transaction. It starts to become quite huge. For the other area that we're looking at quite heavily and having some very good discussions is in the gaming area, talking to a number of gaming studios about how we can how we can utilize it and provide them. Those studios are getting pretty excited about the capabilities we're offering, especially around well, look, I'm not going to go into the detail of it. Actually, I'll hold off on that for the moment and save that alpha for another day. But that just gives you an idea of the areas that we're working in.
Cool. And just so for the people that might have missed last week, I know there was a little bit of VR talk in relation to that. So just keep that, take notes and jot it down. But I think that's a super important element that L1X is going to be on the forefront of. And speaking of forefront tempo, what about you? What have you been up to this week?
Yeah, hi. Be great. How's everyone today? Yeah, another busy week. Again, I think the theme at the moment is although Web3 and blockchain is a decentralized world, it all very much relates to human connections. And at the moment, we are meeting some incredible people, making some amazing connections with publications, influencers, really people that are deeply involved in the crypto community who are really paying attention to what we're doing, and it's very exciting to be developing these relationships because we've came from a standing start, and you can hear from Kevin and from Chief just the sheer magnitude of this project and what L1X is capable of doing, and we are really beginning to make some fantastic connections, and I'm sure when Spark and Chief and Kevin go across overseas and are able to put L1X in front of people and show them what we can do, we're really going to have some massive attention on us. In the meantime, I've been working with some publications where we're getting more and more material out. We're really looking at interoperability at the moment in terms of our communication, because it's something that everyone seems to claim, and of course people can claim it from the perspective of using bridges. But bridges is kind of like putting a tightrope across between two tall towers and trying to get across to the other side safely in the crypto sense. And so we eliminate those. We are able to do interoperability at a level never seen before in crypto, and I think that's where we really need to start, just helping people understand. And of course, we're working with a few publications on getting those messages out to everyone as well. So everyone's firing on every front. The event that we were in part of last week, the WA Web3, was fantastic. We've got a lot of great connections and a lot of interest from that as well, which we're still following up on in addition to everything else.
Thanks, Tempo. Spark, you said something a little bit ago where, you talked about you and Chief and Kevin would be traveling, like to Consensus and, speaking to investors, project developers, etc. Maybe you can expand a little bit more on that and, how you would, present the unique qualities and however you see that, to like a potential investor or developer or a project owner, and, what L1X can provide to them. If you could kind of give us a little bit of insight. And I think a lot of people are I know I'm interested in like hearing how people pitch things. So maybe you can illuminate that a little bit for us.
Yeah, no problem at all. So look, when you're talking to projects, you do have to tailor the message, obviously, specifically to which type of project and the stage the project is at. But a resounding theme that gets projects excited really around it's either the scalability, so our ability to process high numbers, but also low transaction fees. So the fact that we have a upper bound or a maximum of 1 cent per transaction is very attractive to a lot of projects out there, especially those that are transacting multiple times in multiple instances. So there's a lot of transactions going through. Also, the interoperability now, and this is one where there's interest, and at the start of the conversation, there's always curiosity. Oh, sorry, I might have cut out there. There's always curiosity about interoperability because we've been users and developers have been, I suppose, trained to recognize interoperability as something like Cosmos might provide, or Polkadot, or EVM. You've got to be part of an EVM network. So we do have to explain that with L1X, it doesn't actually matter what your language or your chain's language is built around, what standards you use, we will connect. And so that's something that they have to kind of comprehend, I suppose, because it's never been available in the market. And then once they've comprehended that, after explaining it to them, then the access, when you look at chains that are projects that are multi-chain right now, they're running multiple UIs, they're trying to they're dealing with bridges or managing bridges. And when you tell them that you can take all that away, they don't have to manage bridges. They can access multiple chains through one interface, decentralized interoperability, and they can do it on a base chain like L1X and only have to pay 1 cent transaction fee. That's a big seller. Now, if you're talking to games, some of the advancements we're making in terms of the performance of games are on Web3, and as Chief said, won't go too much into the details there, but what Kevin and the team are building around the performance around games, we talk to them about that if they're games, and they get extremely excited about that, about the potential to have a Web2 gaming experience on Web3. That also gets them extremely excited. So when we're pitching to projects, we're basically just tailoring the features to what kind of project they are and what stage they're in. Now, when we're pitching to investors, the key thing with investors, and once again, tailoring it to the audience, whether they're a brand new crypto user or they've been in crypto for some time, what resonates with either of those audiences is that we give the ability to users and developers to access multiple projects, so multiple chains, and multiple applications on those chains without the need for bridges. So it's safe, it's efficient, and it's a low cost to participate. That makes sense to them, and it almost makes common sense that why would you not already have that? And we get that question a lot, and the reason is because no one's actually being able to crack that code literally, and the fact that Kevin and the team have done that is pretty extraordinary. So when we're talking to investors, we're talking about what the benefits it gives to users. We talk about the ability for the wallet to really simplify the user experience in crypto, and how that can bring on more adoption of crypto. The fact that, when I talk about the wallet, I'm not just talking about the fact that you can hold all your tokens, NFTs in the wallet. I'm talking about the fact that you can hold data in that wallet, the fact that you can transact on multiple chains with one universal gas token. All of that excites the investor, because what they see there is they see that this has utility. Users will use this, and it will generate transactions on the ecosystem. But not only that, when you talk to investors, you also talk about the two avenues of adoption. One is the traditional avenue of adoption, which is projects building on L1X and users using those projects, being highly active on the ecosystem or within the ecosystem. And then the second avenue of adoption is just applications and chains utilizing the interoperability, and that still generates fees back to the ecosystem. So it's a fairly unique proposition we're offering investors here, and with multiple angles of revenue sources, as I said, whether it's traditional through usage on the system or just other applications using the interoperability, but on top of that, all the other features that makes the user's life easier and encourages mass adoption.
Brilliant. So Chief, let me pose this question to you. Before you would talk to an investor, are you doing research on a protocol, having an understanding of that? Are you, have you been in the protocol? Like, what's your process so that you have that good preparation, so that you can effectively, target that pain point for them that L1X solves?
Well, for me, look, I've got quite a wide range of industry experience, everything from the military all the way through to healthcare, through to aviation, etc. So I've already got a pretty good understanding of a lot of these of the use cases and where L1X can apply to it. That doesn't mean I don't do the research. Yes, many hours a day, or a night, I should say, I spend actually researching, whether it's the protocol, whether it's the companies that we're talking to, the individuals, We go through quite an extensive process, and I know the other guys definitely do that too, because we have discussions about that before we actually meet up with these potential, whether they're investors or projects. I think so.
I
Yeah.
can hear you. I don't know, someone's dropped out.
Yeah, it just dropped real quick. I don't know what happened.
I can't see any audience.
Yeah, I'll probably continue on. I think B Great's probably having issues with connections, but so when we're talking about projects and talking about the ecosystem, there's a few. When we look at projects, we're kind of dividing projects into kind of tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, or stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Some of the projects that we're looking at and we're talking to at the moment will take a longer time to develop and nurture, and those projects more so around those enterprise projects that maybe haven't adopted blockchain yet into their own, in either whether it's into their own business or their industry. So we're talking to, and I think Chief's mentioned this before, but we're talking to mining companies. We're talking to other industries, health companies, and these are amazing industries to get a foothold in with blockchain, but they do take time. So we're starting those conversations now. We'll continue to nurture those conversations and bring those companies on board with specific solutions around blockchain. So they're the longer kind of focused projects that we're talking to, but the short-term ones are, we've got the DeFi projects. So we've obviously the L1X Dex, which is going to be amazing, and there's interest in other DeFi projects and leveraging the Dex as well. So that that's going to be there, and it's a short-term project that we know we can bring to market, or a team of AJ and Jake's team can bring to market for launch. And then we've also got those kind of mid kind of range projects which may not be available at launch, but will be available in the months very close to launch, which some of the gaming projects, some other DeFi projects. So there's stages there, and I think that's important to have a pipeline of projects, not just for launch, but obviously continue pipeline of projects that are coming in shortly after launch, and then some of the ones that will be planned to come on board in 2024 as well.
I think I'm back.
Just like to add, okay, just want to add to that, Spark. Thank you. Just to talk in particular about capability that we're exploring with some of these gaming companies, and just give a little bit of an idea. When people talk about VR, it's a I won't say it's limited, but it's a specific area. But when you start combining other elements of that extended reality, or XR as we'll call it, we start combining augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality that offer solutions in different contexts. So throughout the metaverse side of the universe here, we actually have the ability to do remote robotic control, and that has both engineering and military applications. Remote surgery even is possible. Remote training or learning, remote maintenance. So you might have an engineer sitting in another country trying to maintain a piece of equipment that he's not qualified for, but he's got a qualified engineer on the other end. Now, where does that come into it from L1X? Well, we can provide that level of the data transfer between them, combining that with things like the ability to run using what we call eBPF on those local devices that will actually enable those applications to access the hardware, so the graphics capabilities, the tools, whether it's a keyboard or a special device that's connected up to the computer. The ability for this system, and also the security, and that's probably one of the most important ones, ensuring that we have data security by utilizing what we call the homomorphic encryption. That makes a huge difference in the applicability across areas such as military.
Can you guys hear me?
We got you.
Perfect. You gave me a mic drop moment, and I literally dropped my mic. So, speaking of kind of that extended reality, or that enhanced user experience, I know we have the two leads from, what I call kind of the Reese's peanut butter cup, bringing chocolate and peanut butter together to make a great product and a great marriage. So, welcome to AJ from EMP Money and Jake from Dex Finance. They're going to give us a little bit of what they've been up to for the past, month or so, and, give us a little bit of direction and, a little bit of hope.
Yeah, 100%. Great to be here. Be great to hear from you, brother, and everybody on stage with us. I'll lay the groundwork, and then Jake from Dex Finance, he can kind of fill in the gaps. But we've been super busy ever since we finished, the coinciding pre-sale. Along with L1X, we capped out at just under 2.5 million. So that was really successful. And yeah, I mean, we've been working hard ever since. We're going to be able to release a roadmap and all of our socials with the actual name of the Dex and everything that you guys have been hoping for and asking for, hopefully by the end of the month. I mean, we're finalizing the branding now. And again, we'll have a really awesome logo. We'll have all the socials up. And then really after that, I mean, we're making major headway, and I can let Jake elaborate more on this, but we hope to have an MVP to actually be able to show all of you a working Dex. Now, MVP stands for minimal viable product, and again, this will be kind of the framework and the front end of what the L1X Dex could be. And again, I mean, the back end stuff, we're working, obviously with Kevin and the team integrating all the interoperability. That will come much closer to launch. But again, I feel like we're very ahead of schedule. And again, we're excited for keeping up with all that development. Again, Kevin and the team, they move fast, so we're again ahead of schedule. And yeah, Jake, I don't know if you want to maybe go into a little bit. I think with Dex Finance, what you guys are planning on building, for your own protocol that we can then leverage into L1X.
Yeah, of course. First of all, I would just like to go on record and saying that Spark is the one with the accent. Just be clear about that.
Yeah, totally.
I agree.
Okay, I had to clear the air on that.
I'll disagree on that one.
Now that that's out of the way, yeah, we've been doing a lot. As AJ mentioned, we're working on branding, working on some tokenomics that we have to review actually with the team here. And honestly, there's just I'm afraid to even talk tonight because there's just so much alpha that we could be spitting out. But we're gonna try to keep it above board tonight.
No,
because...
Don't worry about it. You can drop a little.
No, well, I don't want to misspeak. There's been a lot of conversations going on. Some really exciting stuff happening behind the scenes. We, as AJ mentioned, we're already working on the MVP basically. Our Dex shares emissions, the Dex Finance, the money market emissions end in May. So we're actually going to be releasing not quite the L1X Dex and obviously none of the cross-chain kind of stuff, but a lot of the functionality and feature sets that you'll be able to see as a user from the UI UX. You'll be able to start seeing. A lot of that's already done. The contracts are already done. Almost ready for audits. So. And of course, again, there's still a lot more to do with the integrations with L1X and all the interoperability. But you guys will be able to see at least a first working model of some of the things we've talked about before with the account signups and user interfaces for drag and drop limit orders and stop losses and things like that. Some stuff to get excited about. But yeah, everything's going along pretty smoothly, and we're even talking to some partner projects that we're talking about bringing on for part of the that it's already interested in maybe building on top of the engineering layer that we're working on.
100%, yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Well, and just to add to that, and again, we're happy to take some questions, but we're big believers in actions speak louder than words. So we were really focusing on getting that MVP up even before L1X launches, just so you guys can see that this is not vaporware. We're actually building something truly revolutionary, and yeah, we're really excited for that. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, be great.
No worries, AJ. So I think a lot of us have the same understanding, the same feeling of, that there's something really lacking in crypto. It's hard to move things around. It's, if there wasn't money here, I doubt very few people would be in crypto because, to this point, have you shown up to, a project and said, damn, this is really amazing to be at. This is really fun. I'm sure people feel like that in some regards, but there's a lot of hurdles that we have to jump through. So, when I hear that term UX, that user experience, I know what it means to me. Like maybe you guys could just highlight a little bit, however you want to, like what you think a good user experience or what the crypto user experience should be. And how you're gonna accomplish that and bring that to the Dex here on L1X.
Go ahead, Jake. You want to take that one, and then I'll follow up for sure.
Yeah, of course. We we've mentioned this on some of the other AMAs, and stop me if I'm getting boring, but
nope,
really,
fire away, buddy.
But we really feel like the disconnect there is this space between centralized and decentralized, right? There's decentralized is still such a small niche compared to the market as a whole. And even the market as a whole is small compared to Tesla, right? But the bulk of the volume in crypto is going through Coinbase and Kraken and Binance, right? Like these are kind of fringe crypto investors that just have opened an account and they did that because they were able to download an app and onboard their funds and sign up with an email address and they're in, right? That's an amazing, amazingly powerful aspect that's just really lacking in the DeFi space, right? I can't tell you how many people that I've tried to talk to even that started really interested in crypto, but then like less than 5 minutes in the conversation, you lose them because they're like, oh, well, I gotta remember these 12 words, and like, what happens if I lose it? And there's so much money getting stolen, and like, it's just yada yada yada. Like it's just so much for the average, the average person
Totally.
to want to deal with,
Agreed.
And there's no DeFi protocol that has been able to kind of bridge that gap. And I think the second part of that is even once the onboarding is complete, the usability and the user experience is really lacking. Probably because my best guess is because they're underfunded, right? Because Coinbase is a publicly traded company. They got rooms full of developers that can market test and get feedback and just create just seamless UI that works, right? That's why FTX got so popular, because regular Joes found just the best interface for crypto, right? For trading anything. It's better than TD Ameritrade, to be honest with you. It's a shame that we all know what happens in the centralized space. But one of our primary goals and our mission in this whole thing is to almost, it almost sounds like a dirty word, but we want to feel as centralized as possible, but not be, if that makes sense.
No, I think you highlighted that in a comment that you made is, finding that space between TradFi and DeFi, and how do you do it in an experience where you said like DeFi is niche, and that's completely true. And finding that user experience that can bring TradFi and all of its users into crypto, because let's be honest, it is a pain in the ass. And I know Cryptonaut, has been working really hard on the UX and the wallet over here. And I would assume that both those teams working on the Dex are working on those same type of ideas. And it's a great thing because we want to make sure that developing in that space in between, in for lack of a better term, in the ether, right? So that something can be, visualized and used and increase that user experience, because we need to bring more people into crypto, and the blockchain that does it, the project that does it, stands to gain tremendously from it, and the space is going to benefit from that tremendously too, because we have a lack of users, and anything that we can do to bring more users in, that's going to be great. And so on to you, AJ. What do you think is the user experience or the enhanced user experience?
Yeah, no, absolutely be great. So I think Jake did an amazing job kind of summing it up. But just to, continue to drive home, the whole idea is that we want to be noob friendly, or, people, again, TradFi, traditional finance, people that want to get into crypto. There is no way that they're going to be able to remember these seed phrases and, not be able to set a limit order and have to use an automated market maker, like we're used to with PancakeSwap and these other traditional decentralized dexes. I mean, we're gonna spin that on its head, and not only is that really revolutionary in terms of a dex, but it's also amazing for L1X. As a whole, because I think that we'll be able to really help the onboarding process on getting users onto L1X, and that's also a really major part of it. I know, Be Great, you mentioned, the wallet as well. I know you guys are well underway developing that, and so we want the DEX, the wallet, L1X as a whole, the interoperability. We want all of these things to work together seamlessly, so it makes the user experience very easy. And I make a joke all the time about how the day that my grandma gets into crypto is the day that we can all retire. And usually, when grandma's talking about the bull run, that's when you want to be taking profit. But I think to that point, our goal is to get it to a point where grandma can participate in cryptocurrency and do it through these much more easy to understand protocols and gateways to onboard to L1X. And not only that, but not only is the user experience going to be superior, but now you have literally the lowest fees. You have access to all the liquidity on all the chains. Again, to drop some more alpha here, we've already been in some private meetings with private liquidity providers that are really interested with L1X and what we're offering. And so their goal is to have plenty of liquidity on every chain, so that we can truly facilitate, those cross-chain swaps without, major price impact. And so, that's a lot of my job right now, is making these connections, working on the marketing, while Jake and his team, are killing it in the design department, with getting an MVP up and running. And then we just plug in all the interoperability in the back end with Kevin, and we're ready to launch as soon as L1X goes live. And the goal is still to use L1X as the LP incentive for the DEX as well. So this means there will not be a secondary token for the DEX, and provides massive use case for L1X right out of the gate. And again, if you didn't get involved in the pre-sale, there's a lot of people that have already missed out, and they want to get involved with L1X, and that is going to be a ton of buying pressure on day one. And we want to have a DEX that will function to allow everybody to go in and buy as much L1X as they would like right off the bat. So yeah, all of the above be great for sure.
I hear a little birdie is upset that it hasn't launched yet. It sounds like in the background.
She is, brother. I apologize. I'm on
You're
daddy
good.
duty,
You're good.
duty tonight. But she, yeah, Birdie is excited for the Dex as well, for sure.
Perfect. Now, Red, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Have you seen any questions in relation to the DEX that some people might want answered? If these guys are AJ, I guess I should ask AJ, Jake, are you ready for a couple questions related to the DEX?
Absolutely, yeah, no problem.
Well, I know there was one burning about the
the different tokens and chains, will that be available? And I know BTC is usually a burning question if that becomes a possibility, but you were mentioning liquidity providers that are jumping on board as well. So is that going to open up pretty much a whole gamma of altcoins?
Yeah, I mean, BTC, we may have to default to Kevin on that one. Again, I know, having the BTC chain, that's a whole different animal, and it's difficult to transact in native BTC. But yeah, everything else, I mean, again, we're launching with the top 8 chains. Again, not to drop any more alpha, but maybe even more than that, who knows? But yeah, the whole idea is that not only do we have deep liquidity on the L1X side, but because of that interoperability, we also need to have liquidity on the respective chains as well. Again, to make sure you're actually getting native ETH or native AVAX. And so, yeah, not only have we met with, again, private LP providers, but the whole idea is that we'll have incentives as well for LP providers. And the goal, again, this will all be in the white paper when we're finally ready to release it. We're working on the forecasting now, but the goal is to make it, a big enough of a reward that we draw LP providers and make it very lucrative, for people to provide liquidity no matter what chain they're on, and that will really help, I think, adoption as well. And with the revenue share model, again, the idea is that we are able to actually share the actual revenue generated from the DEX with LP providers. That does wonders for the sustainability and, again, use case of L1X. So, yeah, all that's being worked on now. But the short answer is yes, there will be plenty of liquidity for all tokens, and even maybe again, but B Great said, "Don't worry about dropping the alpha. I don't want to drop too much alpha." But
No, go ahead, buddy.
yeah, all right, man. Even possibly working with other established dexes that we can draw from is also on the table. So again, we have so much happening that it's moving at lightning speed for sure.
Omega's got a great catch line here for you. A sexy front end, CEX, the centralized exchange. So a sexy front end with a low cost DEX back end. Now, would you guys say that that's a good catch line that sums it up pretty well?
Yeah, there you go. I don't know how we're
That's
going
it.
to shorten that into a tagline, but
Yep.
yeah, that's a good start for sure. I love it.
That's well, maybe going into that question a little bit. Kevin, could you address that, like the technical hurdles with attaching to BTC?
Yeah, I think one of the toughest challenge in there is not in terms of interoperability per se that L1X system cannot handle, but more to do with the transaction information that is received on the Bitcoin chain. So in terms of other protocols out there, you have something called as event data. So the event data allows you to fetch that information of that particular transaction, and we can also re-verify whether this transaction was sent by this address or not. But in Bitcoin, all you have is your transaction hash, so it can be a bit tough to use that because there's no such thing as liquidity pool or smart contracts on the Bitcoin network. But what you will have is something like Solana, which uses an account system. So we are exploring, how we could make that secure, because it's one thing to create a patch solution that will work, until it doesn't work. But it's the other thing where we are exploring as to how could we, kind of extend the features of the Bitcoin account itself to have that smart contract feature set, if possible at all.
I'll jump in here too. Whether or not we get native Bitcoin or not, like we're already talking to some established partner projects that are interested, that have tens of millions in BTC on different chains. So, at the end of the day, I mean, native Bitcoin's great, but do you really care if it's got a B after it or something?
Yeah,
Good
100%. Especially if there's liquidity, backing it. It's one thing to have a wrapped BTC that isn't backed by anything, but yeah, to Jake's point, 100%. And to Kevin's point, Merkle root. I mean, wrap your head around that. What if L1X can actually be a solution, to help BTC move into smart contracts and having all that. I mean, again,
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty remarkable. Go ahead, Kevin.
Um, yeah, I think what we are exploring there is this, right? So of course you can have the wrapped Bitcoin, but if the Bitcoin that is wrapped, it could be backed by Bitcoin itself, or maybe some other asset that can be used to buy the Bitcoin. So if you wrap the Bitcoin, that's one solution. But I think there's a lot of challenges attached to that as well. But let's say you wanted to access the Bitcoin directly. One thing that you could do is this: if the Bitcoin is held into an account, and the only way to make sure that this account is actually decentralized, like nobody controls it, you would need to have like a sub accounts connected to it, which is multi-signing those accounts. So if you wanted to move your Bitcoin to L1X, and you would probably transfer that $100 worth of Bitcoin to the L1X, protocol account of Bitcoin. But at the same time, the L1X protocol account of Bitcoin wouldn't be able to take that Bitcoin out until and unless it is multi-signed. And that multi-signing on the L1X chain would recognize it. So if you give away your L1X coin again for Bitcoin, both of these transactions have to be multi-signed by the network and by yourself for that movement to happen. So in this way, nobody controls those liquidity pools, and you still own your Bitcoin in a way, through a multi-sig, as long as you don't give up your L1X coin.
Thanks, Kevin. Maybe I can pose this question to Jake. This is from Silverback Gorilla. Will we be able to use trading software via API key? And then I'm going to add something to that, because I read this question. I don't remember which forum it was in, but somebody mentioned high frequency trading, and I know that you're a seasoned trader, so I don't think we've seen high frequency trading within crypto, but I with L1X Tech, I believe that's all possible now and practical. How can you speak to that, Jake?
Yeah, for sure. To be honest, it's not on the top of our priority list. Primarily because that group of traders is an even smaller niche than than the rest of DeFi. But we are definitely planning on offering SDKs and APIs for the services. I'll be honest, it'll probably be like a V2 thing, primarily for security kind of stuff. The first APIs will probably be awarded with keys to partner projects, just to make sure that people aren't trying to game the system. But definitely something that could be on the radar for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jake.
no doubt. And we do have to kind of crawl, before we run. And I think getting deep liquidity and having, the UI locked down, being able to drag and drop limit orders, like those sort of things are the low hanging fruit that we have to get perfect. And then absolutely we can, move into a V2 or a V3 that integrates, API keys to automate trading. I mean, the sky is the limit. But we definitely want to Jake's point, make sure we have a super solid functioning product before we start expanding too.
Thanks, AJ. And this next question is from Joe1185. Can you guys speak to your marketing plan? And maybe I'll pose this a little bit to Chief and Spark and Tempo, because I know there's a lot of new hires in the work for the Perth office. So if you guys could highlight or illuminate that answer for Joe1185.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So, yeah, so as you said, Be Great, you're absolutely right in terms of the new hires we've got in positions for marketing. So we now have we've just had 4 new hires in relation to design, creative director, head of brand, and marketing operations. And obviously Big Turns, who's on the call as community manager, and we'll continue to hire out. So there's a multi-pronged approach, I suppose, with the marketing. We have the internal team that will continue to build out, and then we're also talking to external marketing agencies as well that we can partner with, whether it be it might be regional. So we're talking to some in UAE, we're talking to some in USA. So they can work in conjunction with the internal team and really ramp up our marketing efforts as we lead into mainnet launch.
Chief or Tempo, can you speak a little bit more to answering that, or did Spark nail it?
No, I think Spark's he's covered most of those hires. We're working through now with some very high quality individuals, and obviously there's a selection process involved in that. But we sat down with a new brand manager yesterday, and it was an extremely fruitful conversation. We've really started to expand even our knowledge around marketing. And Spark and I, we fully admit we're not marketing. We don't have that skill set. But to be able to bring along those sort of individuals is really helping us move forward. And then to be able to sit down with those agencies, as Spark mentioned, in the UAE, we're looking forward to that to see where that's going to go with regards to the capabilities of the protocol around digital identity and CBDC, et cetera, as I mentioned before. Just another little item to try and whet people's appetite about the capability. One of the things that we've been looking at and working on is around how we can actually truly change the Web3 landscape. Now, the limitations around there at the moment around websites. What happens if a website gets hacked and it gets taken down? What if we're able to move the entire website onto the blockchain and completely decentralize it? The websites can't be taken down. I'll leave you with that.
Thanks, Chief. Last question, maybe here, maybe one more after that, but this is posed at Jake or AJ. This is from Caldrogo. Will the Dex implement any AI components?
Yeah, so Jake is definitely leading the development front. But just real fast, to piggyback on that last question about marketing, I mean, the Dex itself will also, be piggybacking on the L1X marketing, but we'll also have our own, brand awareness campaign. The whole idea with the Dex is that because we're the launch Dex, obviously the branding and the messaging needs to closely reflect L1X. But we're also, planning on making it much more professional. Again, we're not going to be, a food group like sushi or pancake. I mean, we're going to be the name, and again, we should have all this out in the next week or two. The name, the branding, everything will drive home the more centralized exchange feel that you may be used to, with those sort of platforms. But as far as AI, I mean, I don't know in what context that is. I know L1X as a whole is implementing some AI technology to help detect potential nodes that would be acting badly. Again, the team can definitely speak to that. But in terms of the Dex itself, I mean, the short answer would be we're not opposed to that, but nothing is really on the radar as of now. But maybe, I don't know, Jake, you wanna dive more into that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a broad question. I will say that I think it's going to be a huge sector in 2023, 2024. I think it still has a long way to go, and most of the stuff coming out right now is more gimmicky than functional. But I do think there's definitely a space for it, and we definitely have our eyes on it. We've already actually started talking about working in some AI type models with the vaults, with our vaults that we've had up for a while now. So we're definitely going to continue that down that path. We actually have another partner project that's building right now that'll probably join us on L1X, that is using blockchain data to support like Discord AI chat bots and stuff like that. So to what extent that'll be involved, is still up for debate. And again, probably more realistically speaking in V2, a month or two after launch, just because we have too much riding on making sure the first product is highly focused on liquidity and user focused, that we don't want to extend ourselves too much by adding those kind of bells and whistles just yet.
Totally, and again, because this the Dex has its own engineering layer as well, I think AI fits a lot better into what we're able to build on top of the Dex as well. So yeah.
You lose Be Great again?
Yeah, I think we may have.
I'm here. But go ahead, Randy.
Oh, yeah, that's what he was doing. He was waiting for me to do it. So really, thank you all for your questions. A lot of great information. I appreciate our guests and going over the decks. But to wrap things up, if we could have a little more information as far as, let's see if I can find that here. We have the NFT giveaway. That the voting for that is wrapping up in about 2 hours. So get your votes in for the top 5. And also, Spark, if we can get some information on what's happening, how's the NFT distribution going to be wrapped up, and then also maybe token verification and the grand prize drawing coming up. Do you have any information on that?
Yeah, the last part of the NFT distribution is just with the term sheets. Those that have sent in a term sheet without a wallet address connected. So the emails have gone out, and we've got some. We're still processing. Oh no, we just processed the last of the term sheets as well. There was a lot of them, but everyone with a term sheet will have most of them have already received an email, or will receive an email just to create the wallet. So we can actually send the NFT to them. We just wanted to give them enough time to ensure that they had the NFT in the wallet so they're eligible for the draw. Obviously, we can't keep it open forever, but we're aiming for, I believe currently it's the 16th that we want to be doing the draw for the big prize. And just to remind everybody, that big prize is the NFT video of the first EVM to non-EVM transfer with L1X, and also the 100,000 tokens, which is pretty insane. So, but we'll be confirming that the draw date. It's just that these last few term sheets have just been finalised now, where we can email out to them to get their wallet set up.
And Spark, do you have an idea of how you're going to roll out that contest, or that choosing, if you will, for the winner?
Yeah, we're going to actually have Kevin and the team develop a randomizer smart contract. And so we're going to input everyone's address into the randomizer, and then the randomizer will select the winning wallet address. And then obviously that wallet address will be the recipient of both the NFT, the major NFT, and also the 100,000 tokens, obviously vested over launch.
Perfect. Thanks, Spark. I think that pretty much wraps it up. We, of course, like always, we have a lot of channels. Make sure if you have these Discord live questions for L1X, make sure you're putting them in the channel. If you can't attend, if you are here, put them in the chat so that we can see it. But that being said, I want to thank everybody for showing up. Our special guests, AJ and Jake from DexFi. We want to make sure that we follow up with them and I'm really excited to see the visuals on that. So I'm going to keep kind of pushing, the boundaries there to make sure that we get these guys back as soon as they're ready to show something, because I'm really excited about that personally. But that being said, let's make sure that we're helping new people that come into the channel, thanking anybody that is, providing good information. And I know we've seen, Red and Stinky Beans or Super Beans dominating the channels, just really helping people. But making sure that if we don't get to your questions right away, we're not forgetting you. We're just going to get answers, and sometimes we have to wait a little bit to get those answers. But so thanks to everybody that showed up here. Thanks to our guests, the team, and everybody in the chat. And we want to make sure that we always hold these under an hour, and you can hold us to that. So wherever you're at, good day, good night, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Yep. Bye, everybody.